Let's face it, if you're a Genetec Security Center user, and I would even say if you are a security system user, right? Not just Genetec, but any video management system, access control system, alarm system, chances are you are a passive user. What does that mean? On a regular day, you are not interacting with your security system. More than likely, the only time you're interacting with your security center system or your security system in general is when there's a problem. Somebody scratched my car, my bag is gone, there was a fist fight in the parking lot, there's a dumpster fire last night, go retrieve the video, door forced open events, go run the access control reports. You're not actually looking for when the door got forced open because who's got a live command center running 24/7? Now, with that said, when the stuff actually ends up hitting the fan, most users are left scrambling for what I would consider to be the most basic functionality of Genetec Security Center. And that is having the system work for you to accomplish routine automation that takes the human element completely out of the equation when we are responding to threats. The module that I'm talking about is called Threat Level Management. This one feature is going to completely change the way you work with Genetec Security Center. And in this episode, I'm going to show you exactly how to set it up. So let's dive in. So, what is threat level management? You know what event to action is, right? We've covered this in a previous episode. I will throw a link down below and a link up top to that episode where we talked all about event to action. But basically, every single entity in Security Center has the ability to have some sort of event trigger some type of action associated with that event. So for example, the most common, most rudimentary one is when motion is detected on a camera, drop a bookmark on the timeline. And there's a number of reasons why you would want to do that. Again, check out the video that I left down below as to the reasons why you would do that particular event to action. That said though, while the event to action scheme is extraordinarily powerful, it's a one-for-one type of thing. When motion happens, drop bookmark on this particular camera. What threat level management does is it takes event to action and sort of kicks it up to a whole new level. So the event could be whatever trigger comes into Security Center. So that trigger could be a button getting pressed, a panic alarm being pressed, or a gunshot sensor going off, or a virtual fence line being violated. Whatever the input is, it could be physical, it could be software, it could be manual, but whatever that trigger event is, if this happens, I don't want one action to occur. I want a cascade of actions to occur. I want to change parameters at the camera level. I want to change my access control rules. I want to lock certain doors. I want to unlock certain doors. I want to change my schedules. I want to block video for certain users. I want to log other users out. Literally every action that could occur in Security Center is now available to you to activate automatically. So of course you say, well, then why would I do this, right? Why threat level management? Why this advanced event to action scheme? Well, think about, again, in the name, threat level management. You need to manage a threat, and when threats occur, you're probably least prepared for that. Worst case scenario, something is happening in your facility, and now you are expecting human operators that are already interacting with your security system at a minimal level, right? We've already established that. It's mostly for forensic purposes. I need to get some reports. I need to review video. Now the proverbial stuff has hit the fan, and you want that operator to go into Security Center and start making changes, right? I want to let me move some PTZs. Let me change my unlock schedules. Let me initiate a call on my Sibelius. You're asking people who don't have the training under duress to now start making changes to your system. You see how potentially harmful this could possibly be. So you take a module like threat level management and you say, okay, if this happens, if a gunshot goes off, here's what I want you to do, Security Center system. I want you to initiate a federation with the local police department, telling them that something's going on. I want to start sharing video with that agency. I want to send an email to all of my employees, letting them know what's going on in my facility. I want to send special messages depending upon who's actually logged into the system, right? An administrator group should get a different message than, a maintenance crew, for example. I want to change my access control rules to prohibit anyone that might be out to lunch from coming back into the building because something bad is happening. I want to block video for certain lower level users that don't necessarily need to see video at this time. I want to take other really lower level users that don't even need access to the system and boot them off to free up some extra licenses for some more concurrent user connections. Maybe law enforcement's going to be logging in and you want to free up a ton of extra space. I want to change my recording parameters to go full 30 frames per second, full tilt, 4K resolution. I want to take my PTZs and spin them to my entry and exit points. And I want to change my storage retention policies during that time frame. Literally, without a human doing anything other than triggering the incident, and again, that trigger could have been the gunshot sensor going off or the fire alarm button getting pressed or, again, a video analytic being triggered. Without anyone doing anything other than this sort of proactive input that the system was waiting to receive, all of these things have occurred. So you don't have to worry about jumping over to the system and making all of these changes on the fly because it's done for you already. Now, all of that being said, a couple of caveats. Number one, threat level management. The name just in and of itself, I take a little bit of umbrage with. Genetec marketing, if you're listening, few people use it actually to manage threats. And I know that sounds strange, but really it's more about scenario management. Yes, we want to have some pre-canned threat levels in there in case the really, really bad thing happens. But I'll tell you what's going to happen unequivocally every year. You're going to have bad weather. And your facility may have to close because of that bad weather. Well, wouldn't it be nice to be able to just press one button from a mobile device and put your system into inclement weather mode? That could be because of hurricanes, typhoons, tornadoes, snow. Where I live here in New Jersey, invariably we will get 2 feet of snow at some point this year, and I will be out there with the snowblower. But I'll tell you who else will be out there with me: my kids, because they're not going to be in school. Well, wouldn't it be nice to open up the Security Center mobile application, hit snow mode on your mobile device, and throw the system into a threat level for snow? Now, what could that look like? That could look like anything you want, but I tell you what the best use case for that is: changing your access control privileges on the fly. Caveat number 2. Yes, this is an optional module, so it's not included in the base software. There is a charge for this. I'll leave a link down below to portal.genetec.com where you can go and check your price for this particular feature, or reach out to your local Genetec sales resource and they will get you the information that you need on how you can add this to your system. Threat level management became available sometime around 5.6 or 5.7. We were on 5.10 today. 5.11's like in the pipeline. So chances are you're probably running a system that can utilize threat level management. So with all that being said and out of the way, let's jump over to Config Tool, and I'm going to show you how to configure threat level management. Okay, we are back in Config Tool. Now, how do you know if you have threat level management already? Chances are, because the price of this particular module is so negligible, especially when you consider, the larger systems that would use threat level management, the cost of this one feature is usually quite small in comparison to everything else. So chances are you probably already have it. But if you want to check to see where it is, go to the About tab here, scroll down till you see threat levels, and you'll see supported or unsupported. If it's unsupported, again, contact your local Genetec resource and they will get you a price for this and have it added to your system. Once you know that you have it, just click on System, or you would go from Tasks, System, General Settings, and you'll see it right there. Threat levels. Now for you it would be blank. For me, I've already got a number of threat levels because I use threat levels in 99.9% of my demos. So if I'm in an end user demo, or if I'm with a systems integrator and I'm showing off features and functionality for maybe the first time, this is a feature that I am showing almost every time. I have no idea what scenario there would be where I wouldn't show this feature. So I'll run you through this one, the white button. So in a second here, I'll drag my demo kit over and you'll see me press this white button on the demo kit. This white button allows me to have 11 different activation actions, meaning when I press that white button, literally 11 things happen automatically. And there is no limitation to this, right? If you wanted to have, 100 different things happen at once, you can do that with threat level management. And you can also see I have deactivation actions. So when the threat level is completed, I have 5 more things that I want to happen upon deactivation. So I'm going to click into this one, and we can see the name of it is the white button. The description I have for it is panic button, because I typically demonstrate this as a panic scenario, right? I'm hitting a button and I'm triggering a bunch of things to happen. What am I triggering to happen during this threat level? All of these should look familiar to you. If you have used Genetec Security Center for even a small amount of time, you'll recognize all of these as potential actions via the event to action scheme. So the first thing that I'm going to do across all my entities is I'm going to drop a bookmark. Add a bookmark, panic alarm triggered, on every entity. Every door, every camera, every device that has a timeline to it now has a bookmark dropped telling me exactly when that panic button was pressed. Send a message to all of my administrators, to the administrator group, panic at Springfield Elementary School. And I have it time out after 7 seconds. What does that mean? It means as I'm logged in, and I will show you this, I'll actually press the white button here in a minute. When that button is pressed, if I'm logged in as an administrator, I'm going to see that message that says Panic at Springfield Elementary pop up on my screen for 7 seconds. If I wanted to just stay there and forcibly make somebody acknowledge that, I can just turn that off. And you know what? For these purposes, I will. Start recording. So if any of my cameras were in a manual mode where they weren't recording for whatever reason, or if I had cameras set up to record on motion only, never do that, then this would start them all recording. Play a sound, and you'll hear this. This is the red alert sound from the Starship Enterprise. It can be loud in a demo, but I won't make it too loud for you. If I had a buzzer, I could sound the buzzer. Display an entity in security desk for first responders. So I'm going to change this to administrators so that you'll see it happen when I'm logged in as the administrator. And what entity am I going to display in security desk? I'm going to display my phone's camera in security desk. Now that should be interesting because I am recording on this camera. So we'll see how that ends up working. But what you'll also see here is I can view it. I have it set to view in a free tile, or I can force it into a tile. So now if there is a camera in particular that in this event you want an operator to see, and it doesn't just have to be a camera, it could be any entity, you want that operator to see this entity, you can force it into a tile. So even if every tile is taken up, that camera's still going to show up, or that entity's still going to show up. If I had my Sony PTZ camera plugged in, you would see it go to its number 1 preset number 1. So again, I've got PTZs. They may be, off doing their PTZ thing, but when that button is pressed, that PTZ swings around to its home. Set the minimum security clearance level. This one is one of my favorites because this is the one that we can all relate to. I'm the receptionist. I went out to lunch. There's a fire in the building now. I don't know that there's a fire. The fire department's on its way, but until that point in time, I have no idea that there's a fire in the building, but My credential still works, so I can swipe in and walk right into the fire. Or some really bad thing that is in the middle of happening, right? With this, I've changed the security clearance levels so that anyone with a security clearance level of 1 is allowed to get into the building. What does that mean? I did a separate video about this as it pertains to card holders, but basically there's 7 different security clearance levels, 7 being the lowest level of clearance, 1 being the highest. So basically nobody can get through that door unless they have a security clearance level of 1. I start blocking video on certain cameras. So again, I don't want folks to be able to see what's going on a particular camera. So I will block that video for anybody with a user level above 250. That was an arbitrary number that I picked. You set it based on your parameters. And then you can see down here, there's deactivation actions. When I deactivate the threat level, add a different bookmark. Panic event resolved. Send a different message to my administrators, right? And have this one automatically time out after 7 seconds, let's say. Silence that buzzer if it's still going off. Change my minimum security clearance level back to 7. Let everybody back into the building. And unblock that camera that was blocked before. So as you can see, in going through those motions, I have basically made it so that when that button is pressed, all of those actions occur by themselves. No human interaction. So we've set up the scenario, and now we just let it play out. So how do you set one of these up? Let's do that. I'm going to set up a new threat level, and I'll show you exactly how easy this is. So we're going to come down here. We're going to hit add. What is it going to be called? Well, I'll tell you what. How about inclement weather? So we're going to set ourselves up for a potential snowstorm. And for the description, we'll say to be used for bad weather events. Color. Now this is interesting because when the button is pressed or when this threat level is activated, the background of Security Center for both the thick client, the web client, and the mobile client will all change to this color that we select now. So for my white button scenario, the whole background changes to red, as you can see up here. Because this is going to be weather related, I don't know. Let's do this like icy blue. No, we already have a blue one up there. How about this white for snow? And we'll call this snow weather. All right, well, what are our actions going to be? Well, you recognize this action, and you recognize all of these different actions that can occur. So I think there's something like 200 different actions. You leave me a comment down below. Count them all. Tell me how many there actually are. But as you can see, these are all the same actions that you could have done, on an individual basis per entity. What do I mean by that? So let me just hit cancel here real quick. Jump over to video, and you see I have the Sony Dome camera selected. Here I have actions, and here I have different bookmarks that I'm adding to this camera individually. If I want to add another action, I could say add when something happens on this camera, I don't know, a health event. My action is going to be display the entity in security desk for who, for the administrators, on what entity, Sony Dome camera, and when do I want it to happen, pick your schedule. As you can see, this is tedious, right? And you've got to do this for each and every single device, but the actions setting is the same. All we're doing differently with threat levels is we're making the event trigger this one thing that has the ability to have multitudes of actions happen at the same time. So now, what do we want to do, right? Do we want to add a bookmark? Do we want to send display entities? Do we want to change our presets on our PTZs, play a sound, change my recording parameters, run a macro, run a pattern, send a message, send an email? How about that one? Who am I going to send the email to? Let's see. Who's got an email address in here? The administrator. And what's the subject? Snow emergency. Facility closure. The facility will be closed tomorrow due to snow. And obviously you could put anything else in there, right? But this is just really rudimentary stuff. That's pretty much it. Click OK. So if you had multiple groups, maybe you're linked up with Active Directory, using those groups, you could then send different email messages to different user groups in Active Directory. That's extremely powerful. Active Directory is a feature for another episode. After we sent that email, what else do we want to do? Well, let's change our security clearance levels to, let's say, a 3, for example. Now, why would we do that? Well, maybe my maintenance crews have a security clearance level of 3, but my general staff have a security clearance level of 7. So now I know my maintenance crews and my, C-suite level executives can still get into the building, but everybody else cannot. And then finally, maybe I want to override with event quality recording across all of my entities. So if I have set up event quality recording on all of my devices, maybe that means a higher state of recording. Maybe that means a lower state of recording. Whatever is the best practice for your facility, we can make that change right here. So when that button is pressed to go into snow mode, my camera recording levels will instantly change without having to do anything other than pressing that button. And obviously we could spend an hour here going through each and every one of these. Maybe a future episode can be like literally going through every single one of these actions and telling you what they do. But for the most part, these are pretty self-explanatory, right? So like this one, sound a buzzer, obviously. Silence a buzzer, obvious. Trigger an alarm. This one could be powerful here, because then if you have different alarms set up, so I have a panic button alarm set up. When this is triggered, anyone that is supposed to get the panic alarm will receive that as well. So, again, each individual set of users can have different outcomes. The administrators are only going to see the message, whereas the operators are going to receive the alarm based on this threat level. And obviously the deactivation is pretty much just the inverse. So when I cancel the threat level, what do I want to do? Maybe I want to add a bookmark. Maybe I want to, start unblocking video, change my minimum security clearance level. So you get it. This is really, really fundamental to how your system is going to work during these different scenarios. So I'll share a quick story with you. Obviously, I work for Genetec. I have a Genetec Security Center system for my house, and I have a few cameras around the house. I have one threat level set up. Probably should have more, but I have one, and it's called Halloween. I live in a pretty suburban area. Every kid on the block is still pretty small, but I know eventually there will be someone to come around with the toilet paper and the eggs and the shaving cream. So I want to make sure that my cameras are recording at the highest level. So normally they're recording at, good resolution, lower frame rate to save up on storage, because I record 24/7, because you should never record on motion only. So I sacrifice, a bit of quality to get a lot more video laid down. Well, every October 31st at midnight, my system kicks into the Halloween threat level. The background changes to orange, of course, because it's Halloween. And all of my camera recording levels across my entire property go up to their highest level. So if it's a 4K camera, it's recording 4K 30 frames a second, because I do not throw toilet paper at my house, because you will be caught. So you can even take this concept of threat levels and schedule it. So I can have a threat level scheduled to run whenever I want to. So we are back in Security Desk, and I've got a familiar entity sitting next to me, the demo kit as built by sales engineer extraordinaire Steve Pendino. Do me a favor, watch those videos that he and I did early on in this channel's development, where we went over the Cloud Link, which is this device here, as well as the ins and outs of Federation. I'll leave links to that down below. I will also leave links to where he sourced these buttons, because he, of course, built this demo kit, and he was kind enough to give me these really cool buttons that have different colors. They're latching. These could be used for your operation. They could be used for so many other things, but I just think those buttons are really cool. I'm a geek about this type of stuff. So, without any further ado, let's go ahead and press that white button. And if you recall, that white button is going to have a bunch of different actions occur based on this one singular event. By just pressing this one button, I am going to accomplish what would take an operator several minutes to do under duress. Here we go. All right, so a bunch of different stuff just happened. Thing number one, you heard the red alert sound from the Starship Enterprise, right? That should have gotten your attention. If that didn't get your attention, the background changing color to red probably would have gotten your attention. If that didn't get your attention, well, you can't do anything else in Security Desk until you acknowledge this message that was sent to all the administrators saying that there's a panic event at that school. What also happened was we pushed a specific entity into the field of view for this particular operator. So for me, for this, it's my iPhone, which I am filming on, so I can't use that camera right now, but you get the idea. That could have been any camera on your system. Maybe it's an entry camera, maybe it's an exit camera, maybe it's a door that has a camera associated with it, maybe it's a Sepalia intercom station, whatever that particular entity is, maybe it's a map, that can be displayed for that operator. I'm going to get rid of this so that we don't get distracted by it and push the map back into the field of view. Now, what's really important here is the change that you didn't see, the change that got made to the access control rules. Remember I said before, what if something really bad just happened in your facility and me as the receptionist went out to lunch and now I walk back in, use my credential, and I'm able to walk into this really bad scene? Well, by changing the security clearance levels, I've mitigated that risk from occurring. So now if Michael swipes his card, Michael gets access denied, insufficient privileges. Same with Dwight. Access denied, insufficient privileges. Whereas Hank, who's our first responder and security officer, he gets access granted, right? He's got the security clearance level that gets him through the door. So now this event is over. How do I get out of this? Oh, by the way, one more thing. You'll see where I drop my bookmarks right there. Panic alarm triggered. So on every entity, that's there. What you'll also see here on this camera, all of this shading means that this camera is being blocked. So if I were logged in with a user privilege below 250, I would not be able to see this camera. You could see there was no blocking here. I don't have these red lines. That means that video was fine for me to see or for somebody to see, but now I have a record of when that camera started to be blocked for, again, any user below the privilege of 250 on this particular system. So now my event is over. How do I get out of this threat level? You come up here, this little red light, and hit none, and we're back to normal. All of that stuff that just happened in the background for the activation also just happened for the deactivation. So you could see my background changed to its regular color. I could have had a different message go out. You see that message that was up for the administrators automatically timed out, right? I don't need them to forcibly acknowledge this particular thing. It's over, and my system is now back to its normal state, non-threat level state. While I'm here, what's really neat about threat levels is that you can activate it on a per area basis as well. So if you have a large campus with many buildings, right? So in our example here, we're in Dunder Mifflin. Dunder Mifflin has a New York and Scranton location. I could put Scranton just into a threat level and not have it affect, my entire system. You can also have cascading threat levels. So you could say if the high school goes into threat level red, then the junior high school should go yellow and the elementary school should go green. For a future episode, you can even have threat levels trigger mission control. So if we want to start pushing standard operating procedures to specific operators, we can use mission control to do that. Mission control can also trigger threat levels to occur so sort of in the inverse. While an operator is going through their routine task of going through a certain set of standard operating procedures, a threat level could be triggered on their side to do some other thing in Security Center. So you can see how powerful this can become. Ultimately, what this is meant to do is get humans to do what humans need to do under duress or under certain scenarios, which is not worrying about their camera recording privileges and their access control rules and all that sort of fun stuff. They need to worry about what is important, which is, their lives and the lives of the people that are in that facility. So, threat level management, or as I like to call it, scenario management. This is one of those small optional features that can really create a paradigm shift in how you interact with or don't interact with Genetec Security Center. Threat level management, or as I like to call it, scenario management, enables you to fundamentally change how your security system operates without any human involvement beyond triggering that event. Do you have questions? Are there other features like this that you'd like to learn more about? Leave me a comment down below so that I can take that and make more videos like this for you in the future. Did you like this video? Do you like threat level management? Give me a thumbs up. Make sure you hit that subscribe button so you can receive notifications when I post more content like this, and we'll see you on the next one.